It goes without saying that this entire video is one gigantic spoiler, so you have been warned. If you are using this as a guide, that's fair, although my own opinion is that most of the bonus bosses you're going to encounter in the off remake, most of them are pretty easy to find. There's maybe one or two that you could miss, and only one that is genuinely hard to fight. Mainly, this is here for your edification. Before I begin, you should note that much of the footage here was recorded from an earlier version of the game. You may notice some mostly graphical differences in some of these fights, and I will point out the more obvious examples where this happens. Additionally, while I did play all the way through the game twice in order to confirm a few details about these bosses, I cannot be 100% sure what might make them appear. It does appear that to some extent you do have to fight these bosses in order. For example, I can tell you for certain that you have to fight bonus boss 4 before you can encounter bonus boss 5. Okay, warnings and caveats out of the way, let's get on with it. The first 3 bosses are found in the purified zones, and this first one you really can't miss. Now, all 6 of the bosses are Zodiac themed. Specifically, they're themed after the Zodiac on the cards you need to access the zones. So we're starting off with our Leo boss, Source. Source is a bit of a pacifist. Initially, he doesn't really want to fight you. The first round, all he does is heal himself. Eventually, he does gain kind of an attack. What he does is he throws what amounts to a Thorns effect on your party, so that when you attack him, or when you do anything really, your party members take damage. He can also put poison on you, so kind of double stacking that passive damage. But beyond that, all he does is heal himself. And really, Source is a pretty easy boss. Now, I say that both of the times I played through the game, I did fight him at the end of Zone 3. I don't know how many people are waiting until all 3 zones are cleared to do the purified zones versus doing them as they come up. But if you do wait until the 3rd one is done and you go back, Source is a pretty easy boss. He doesn't have that much life. If you are trying to fight him immediately after finishing Zone 1, it's probably doable, but it's going to be a brutal attrition-fueled fight, and I really don't recommend it, but, it's up to you. Next, we have our Cancer theme boss, Malediction. Now, this one is found in Purified Zone 2 in the park. Malediction is one of the easier bosses, in my opinion, and he has a gimmick that RPG aficionados, if you're experienced, you've seen this, which is changing his weakness. Throughout the fight, he'll shift between the 4 different elements you can deal. And additionally, 2 times during the fight, he will summon barriers that you have to break through, and the barriers also have their own weaknesses. Now, if you have waited until the end of Zone 3, then you should have gained enough experience that the batter will be able to deal at least 3 elements worth of damage, so this really is not a hard fight. Again, this has to be one of the easier bonus bosses you're going to encounter, and he's, again, kind of hard to miss. Next up, we have Salmanazar and Herodotus, our Pisces-themed boss. This one is in Purified Zone 3, and it is one you could potentially miss. As you can see, you go into the smokestack where you do the mini-game. In the regular zone, only you walk through the furnace where they were burning the bodies, you climb down a ladder, and there's your boss. This, by the way, is footage from an earlier version of the game, so your experience is going to look different than this. As to the function of the boss, these 2 really are Gimmick City. To start with, they will throw 2 entirely unique status conditions on you. The first one is Vilify, which is pretty much Mute Plus. It locks your competences, but there is no way to heal. You just have to wait to recover, and shortly after you do, they will reapply it, so there's that. The other thing they throw on you is Defamation. Now, here's how I think Defamation works. It designates one of your party members as guilty. Now, that party member will get a string of critical hits, just over and over again, as long as the status condition lasts. After a few turns, the status is resolved. The party member designated as guilty takes an amount of damage that appears to be proportionate to the amount of damage the entire party did. Now, if this is the batter, he's probably going to be fine. He'll live through it, and you'll have done a lot of damage from having him get all these crits. If it is one of the add-ons, they'll probably die. So this is one of those situations where you want to pay attention to who's getting the crits and whether or not you should be going all out or maybe playing a little bit more cautiously, because again, I have had the character who is guilty only defend and still take a ton of damage at the end of this effect, so it does appear to be the entire party heaping damage onto this guy. The bosses have another trick, which is that eventually they will summon little minion fishes called facades. Now, the facades don't actually do that much damage, and neither do the bosses. Their attacks, apart from this, are pretty weak. But the thing about the facades is they are very, very difficult to fight. Most of them will only take single-digit damage. Their defense is very, very high. However, of the three of them, you'll see one of them is always about to land a critical hit, and that one takes 10 times more damage than the other ones. So dealing with facade is pretty simple. You just target the one that is showing a critical hit coming, 2 or 3 hits, and they go down, and you don't have to deal with them anymore. On to bonus boss number 4, Just Us, which is our Aquarius boss. This one is very easy to find. He is on the first room in kind of any screen in the room in Zone 4 until you fight him. After you do fight him, this stairway will disappear, but he's there until you beat him. I should note that it appears that none of these bosses are missable. Even if you go all the way to the end of the point of no return, you can double back, refight all the bosses, fight Just Us, fight the last 2, and keep on going, so don't worry too much about that. I really don't have a lot to say about Just Us. He's probably the least interesting of the 6 to actually fight, because he doesn't really have a gimmick. Insofar as he does, his gimmick is that his special attacks are your competences. So he will use the special attacks of the batter and the add-ons against you. If he does occasionally break out a drama, if he breaks out a buff, especially the defensive buff, then you're doing chip damage to him for a few rounds. That's really annoying. But other than that, he's not that difficult to fight. You'll take him down just like any other boss. On to boss 5, the Sagittarius boss, Carnival. You can find this boss by exiting out into the nothingness. After you've reached the point of no return, if you fought all of the other bonus bosses, there'll be a little swirly on there. Go up there, you'll find Carnival there. Carnival's gimmick is that he will occasionally have you play a game. And what the game amounts to is doing something, and that includes any of your party members, but also Carnival. Anytime one of those characters fulfills a certain requirement, they get some kind of bonus, which sometimes can be really obvious, like it can accelerate their ATB bar so they get to act again right away. Other times it's a little more subtle and it's not obvious what he's actually doing. The games vary. What you have to do to earn the reward varies. Sometimes you have to use a competence. Any character that uses a competence on either side triggers this. Sometimes you have to deal elemental damage, and that triggers this. Honestly, you can kind of ignore this. It's not necessarily a big part of the fight, even though it shows up a lot. Mostly you just need to deal with Carnival's attacks. He is a bit of a glass cannon. He hits very, very hard. He can deal hundreds of damage to a single target. He has very powerful multi-target attacks. He can throw status conditions, including confusion on everyone, but he doesn't have that much life. So if you unload on him, this fight should not take too long. Finally, there is Cobb, the Ares boss. You can find this guy down a stairway in the room you enter after you fight the regular final boss. You wander around through an MC Escher type of world, and you will find Cobb. If you are wondering, I can confirm you do not need the Ares card in order to fight Cobb. As far as I can tell, though, you do need to have fought the other 5 bosses before him like normal. Cobb is a long, slow, brutal slog of a fight. He is on rails. He opens a sequence with an area effect attack that does a really inconsistent amount of damage. I've seen it do as little as 50 damage to everyone. I've seen it do as much as 150 damage. It really just varies a great deal. After that, he will single a party member out for a boon, which generally means that after a few turns, he will heal that party member. After that, he throws on the entire party Vilify, which we mentioned Vilify earlier in the Pisces fight, but this is not the same status condition because in addition to locking competences, it also locks items. So for a few rounds, all you can use is attack and defense. After that, the boon resolves, somebody gets healed, and then he throws out a super attack that does thousands of damage to one character. I believe it's impossible to resist. I mean, I don't know. You could grind into the ceiling and maybe endure this. I really could not tell you. But effectively, he just kills one party member. After that, he lifts Vilify, and then the cycle starts over again. And I should mention, he is just fast enough that he will be able to get these off in a lot of cases, especially Vilify, before you can act. Cobb is far and away the hardest boss in the game, no question, but you really do not have to grind for this. You don't need to break the game. If you are at high enough level to have beaten the regular final boss, if you are at a high enough level to have beaten Sugar, the original bonus boss, then you can deal with Cobb. He is far harder than either of them, but it's only a matter of degree. You can still win this fight. You don't need to grind for hours. You don't need to pull any exploit. This is just a fight. You just need to manage your resources. You need to be careful. You can absolutely get through this. Your reward for this, by the way, is you unlock a column, which is the little frame that appears around the screen. That may not be worth it to you, but, you know, it's there. It's something. Really, the reward should just be that you beat a very hard boss in a very good game, which should be enough by itself, right?